Alright guys, welcome into Ion Market, the second edition, and we are going to try to do this a lot more streamlined this time around and make sure that it is a lot less hectic and hopefully not 22 minutes, because that's a lot to sit through. So, as usual, we're going to jump in, we're going to take a look at the best selling first, just sort of recap of whatever the best selling cards are at the moment. It's kind of all over the place in terms of, like, value cards right now with the Megatins coming in August. People kind of scramble to pick stuff up for the YCS. There's a lot going on, but there's not any drastic changes from the last video. I mean, right now, Ghost from the Past is dominating. 25 bucks a piece for the individual boxes. It is down a little bit, so hopefully they'll maybe hit like $20, $22, and you can pick them up relatively cheap. Individual box displays seem to be going for about $120, so not a terrible price point there. Other than that, not really any crazy changes to report. Prosperity at $99, 100 bucks, about where we expect. It fluctuates a little. Chamber Dragon made around 90. Not a bad, like, price. If you have them, I would move them because Eternity Code's almost guaranteed to have this in it. Magician's Souls, man, I saw this one as I was prepping the video today. No idea why this got bought out. Like, it looks like we're at $115 for the cheapest English near mint with $5 shipping. I mean, that's crazy. This is almost guaranteed to be in whatever Legendary Duelist Season 3 we get, and so to be buying these at that price, I mean, I'm shocked by it. I mean, you can get these for 90 for the German ones, 90 for French. So if you need them for, like, the YCS, these translations are legal if you're going to play in that or the Remote Duel Extravaganza. So I would definitely say do not drop 120 on these. That seems kind of crazy. If you have them, I would say sell them because you could make a nice amount of money right now and likely recoup these when the time comes that they are reprinted in the Legendary Duelist Season 3. So that's really just kind of where the best selling is at. Other than that, I don't see that there's really anything super noteworthy to talk about here. Shadal Schism is still 40 bucks. I mean, that's almost a lock for the Megatins. We got Extravagant is up a ton, 30 bucks. So there's a decent amount of movement on some of the big cards, but for the most part, everything has stayed around where it is, with the exception of Magician's Souls, as well as some of the other Legendary Duelist stuff. And I'll just take a quick peek at the rest of the top of the set. I didn't have anything prepped for that, but yeah, I mean, looks like Dark Magicians, $92 for the first ed. And on First Ed German for 45. I mean, that's a big jump in price, obviously. I mean, if you were going to play it, I'd say that's good. But I think collector's value-wise, you're going to be looking at the First Ed as the one to have. I don't know that I'd touch it at this price point, though. If you have them, I also say, depending on your own situation, it might be worth holding on to. If you look at Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight, that card has seen a ton of value over time for its original printing, despite being reprinted. So this does feel like a safe investment to hold on to if you already have them and you picked them up cheap. But I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to cash out on them either. So, all right, let's jump into some of the price spikes been going on. Wind, the Wind Channeler. I've talked about this card before, not on Ion Market, but just in general among friends and colleagues and so on and so forth. This card is insanely good. I'm thinking we're going to get one for every attribute, or at least the primary ones. But with the Wind support coming out in the Legendary Duelist Synchro Strike, as well as a new set that was just announced in the OCG that's going to have some other Wind support, people are clamoring for this. Really want to grab it. It does come Starlight as well. I'd say the Ultra is definitely a good card to have, but like this is a very prime Megatin candidate. There's a good chance we'll see this in there. I can't see them leaving it out. It's a Charmer. They know how much they like those. I would be very surprised if this did not get reprinted in the Megatin. Maybe even as a Prismatic Secret, but probably as like a Super. You're looking at 10 bucks for the cheapest First Ed. I mean, if you're planning on playing it, it's not a bad price. If it didn't get reprinted, I think it would maybe go up more, but that's a gamble, and I think it's probably safe to say that you should wait this one out unless you absolutely need them. Cards of Consonants, with Dragunity stuff coming out, Goes from the Past this Friday. These are going up for all copies, realistically speaking. Even the commons look like they're about 4 bucks. I think Legendary Collection Kaiba Secret Rare is the way to go, unless you're getting the original Super Rare First Ed. These are about 7 and change. I like them a lot. I think they look really nice, and I think it's actually really solid in Dragunity. I've been playtesting with that a lot. I don't know whether or not it's going to make any final cuts for me, but it's a decent card that will always have potential as long as they continue to make dragon tuners that, you know, have relatively low attack. So if you have your Cards of Consonants already, you might be sitting on some decent value. If you don't, they seem cheap enough that you could pick them up if you plan on playing them. I don't know where this value goes, but Legendary Collection 5Ds, as we know, is kind of a gold mine for value over time as well, and the cheapest one near mint here is about $7. So overall, if you want to grab a playset for less than 20, if you need them, it's not the worst deal I've ever seen, but I would be cautious about that if you don't see yourself needing it anytime soon. Maybe just kind of play the market and see what you think is the way to go. So for a few other price spikes, I'm a little bit behind on this one. The Chevalier de Fleur. This is $27 for the near mint video game promo. As we know, Sherry LeBlanc from 5Ds is going to be using a bunch of these in the next Duelist pack, as well as the animation set. I forget what it's actually called, but it's coming out in OCG. So plenty of support for her cards. Some of them are already announced, and they're all pretty good. I'm going to do a video on it the next day or two, taking a look at those. This is a decent card. It's just basic negation. During each of your turns, if your opponent activates a spell or trap, you can negate the activation once per turn. It's not a quick effect, so you can't use it during the opponent's turn. I don't know. It's tricky. It's an iconic card, video game promo with no other prints, but there's a good chance it gets reprinted in the Synchro Strike Duelist pack. Sorcier de Fleur, same thing. Cheapest near mint, I'm seeing about 7 and change. Always thought this was a decent card. Normal or special summon, you take a monster in your opponent's graveyard, special it to your field. Decent extender, disruption. I mean, depending on how good the rest of the support is with this, I could see it being a card that they may play like one of, but I think the strategy is kind of leaning in a different direction. I don't know. It's too hard to tell, but it's a video game promo. People have been going after those. It's probably going to be a safe bet if you have them. That price, honestly, doesn't feel terrible. I wish they were a little bit cheaper, maybe like $4 or $5. I'd say grab them, but there are limited quantities. So if you are interested in this or you wanted one for collector's purposes, I definitely think you could do okay with that price point. Necroflare is another one. If this card is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, special summon one Sorcier de Fleur from your deck. I actually think this card's really good. There's a couple of new cards that combo incredibly well with it that can like pop your own cards, trigger card effects. I don't even know what the cheapest near mint is on that. $9.75, so it's about the same. $9.75 for that. I mean, it's hard to say, right? Like, I would imagine almost all of this stuff is going to get reprinted in the new Duelist pack, because usually they do that. But if not, I mean, this could be a good one. It's a level 1 Dark Plant. It's got some great attribute typing, 1-for-1, so on and so forth. So just bringing your awareness to that. And then, of course, we got Fleur Syncron. This has 2 printings. The ultra rare version is up to the moon. $50 for the cheapest, which is just egregious. I would avoid that at all costs. Light Machine Tuner. If it's sent to the graveyard as a synchro material, you can special summon a level 2 or a lower monster from your hand. It's definitely really good. It is not a once per turn in any capacity, so there's some insane combos you can do with it, but you can get a common version of this from the Syncron Extreme Structure deck for about $2-3. So just keep in mind that like it's probably going to see a third printing in the Duelist pack. If you want a foil version, you're going to be paying insanely high premiums on it, at least for the time being. So just some food for thought on this. I like it. It's really good, and I think it will see play, but I would be cautious about how much you're dropping on it. Just considering the circumstances. Now, pivoting to some cheap stuff that is really kind of not getting a lot of looks on the market, but could be worth kind of, glancing at. Wind Witch Ice Bell, the secret rare from Shadows of Valhalla, looks like it's about $250. Decent amount of quantities, though not like an insane amount. I think it's a really good card. I think there's, the Wind Witch support from Blazing Vortex, but depending on how the new Wind stuff is and whether or not it can, incorporate this engine, you might see it as something that's worth looking at. I'm not really sure, but you guys take a look at it, see whether or not it's something that you think would be worth picking up. The other versions are the Ultra, and there's a common. Neither one are that expensive. Ultra's got decent value, too, though. Maybe people are going to go after the original rarity, so that's, just food for thought. And I had that one popped up. Freeze Bell, I like this one a lot, too. It's only like $2. It's just basically if you control only Wind Witch monsters, special it from your hand. It's fine. It doesn't have any other restrictions. And then once per turn during your main phase, you can increase its level by 1. And it also gives protection to a Wind Synchro monster. Just something to look at. It's cheap. Blazing Vortex isn't going to be reprinted anytime soon. So, you can do all right with this. If you were to buy out, all of these, you're paying about $1 a piece. Not a bad card to look at, for sure. Dragunity Romulus. This is obviously with the Dragunity support coming out in Ghosts from the Past is getting some looks. The quantities are low for the Prismatic Secret Rares. Full disclosure, I actually have purchased some of these myself. I know some people who have purchased large quantities of it as well with the hope that it goes up over time. I think this is a really good card in general, but ultimately I'm not telling you to go buy it out. I'm just telling you if you need one. There are some cheap copies left around $3 that you could grab, and it's definitely a card you want to have access to for the Dragunity deck. Alternatively, if you're not interested in the secret rare, you can still scoop the ultras for around $2. So, If you are deciding between the two, I would go Secret. I think Rising Rampage is kind of a poor set. I don't think it's going to age as well as some other sets, except maybe for sealed value. So I think the Secret's the way to go. Taking a look at a few other Dragunity cards here. Ghost from the Past. I mean, this is some wild stuff, right? Ghost from the Past. I had this pulled up and I lost it a little, but you just look at the Ghost Rares are just going for insane prices already. Dragunity Remus is up to $39.99 right now. Disgusting price point. It got cleared out. Yu-Gi-Oh! Daily had pre-orders. It got cleared out at $20-something. Market price $24. Again, it's an absolutely insane card that I think people are going to play, whether it's in Dragon Link or in Dragunity as a pure deck. I would say maybe wait on this a little bit. The set comes out Friday. There is a lot of pre-sale hype going on. You should ideally be able to pick this up a little bit cheaper. So, yeah, I mean, shop around pre-orders, see what you can find. $40 seems steep, but who knows? I mean, with the set being higher than MSRP, there's going to be some people looking to recoup value outside of the Ghost Rares, which appear to be shorted. Fogblade's another one from Ghost from the Past. Only about $5 right now. I don't think it's a terrible pre-order price. I think maybe give it a little bit longer. You might see it drop down to like 2 or 3, at which point I'd say maybe scoop some up, whether you need sets for yourself or if you just want to have it for the purpose of, you know, holding it long term. It's a really good trap card that always comes up, has a lot of use, and as an ultra in a set that we've seen cards like Impermanence and stuff from other reprint sets do well. I don't think it's going to be Impermanence price, but it could definitely rise over time. As we just kind of review the last couple things I'm kind of looking at here. A few other cards that are low. Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit's just one I noticed from Maximum Gold. I mean, this card's got a lot of prints. This is the original artwork. Looks nice. Looks like it's about $2 to $3 a piece. If you want it, it seems like it's going to be seeing more play in the meta, especially with decks like Dragunity possibly being more prevalent. You can get rid of Ravine, you can get rid of other stuff, and you're looking for a more accessible, rather budget copy. It's not a bad price, and I do think over time this will go up like a lot of the other copies have. Just depends on whether or not it's in demand. I mean, as we've seen with Ash Blossom, just because a card has a lot of reprints doesn't mean it's not going to command high value. So just food for thought, Ghost Ogre is a relatively cheap card. Same with Fantasma. I'm not a huge fan of the alternate art, but it's like a $2.50 card. If you don't have them and you want them, this is a good thing to look at, and there's a decent amount of these, so this isn't going crazy or anything like that, but this is nice if you like the alternate art. There's also the, you know, the regular ones from the Dual Overload and the Super Rare from the Megatins that are cheap-ish. I think Fantasma is a solid pickup over time. It's just a good hand trap you should probably have copies of. Again, not like a buyout card or anything. Last but not least, Danger Thunderbird from Ghost from the Past. I meant to hit on this one. It's about $2.50. When this came out in the Megatins, it was very cheap for a while and then spiked tremendously. I don't know that it would see that same spike, especially because it's also an Ultra just like it was in the Megatins, but just some food for thought. If you see this pre-order price drop down to like $1, the Danger engine is always really popular, and historically speaking, even cards like Bigfoot and Thunderbird in their alternate rarities have gone up. So it might be a good card to pick up dirt cheap and just kind of have an eye towards the future. And lastly, for our retro, sort of retro recap for today, if you will, a couple cards from DB1. Change of Heart Ultra Rare has gone completely off the market. There is one near mint copy for $50, and every other copy of it is gone. There's also another one that's gone up relatively recently as well. This one I think is English. That is $49. It just went up, but it looks like this one is, yeah. So it's all good. I don't know why. I don't know why I said, you know, first edition, but yeah, so there's two copies up for $49 and then one for $50. If you have these, might be worth looking into, checking the conditions, seeing whether or not they're moving them. DB1 is a legacy set people start going after. Beast Skull Dragon's another one from Dark Beginning 1, and surprisingly the near mint copies of this card are only like $22. I think over time it's going to go up more as people really look for more collector's cards and sets to chase. So this could be a good pickup if you're looking to invest in some retro market stuff that has extremely low quantities with 18 listings, and most of them are just a single copy per. So that's my one there. And lastly today, Nobleman a Crossout from Dark Beginning 1. The cheapest is $10.99. People are chasing after the Secret Rare from the Speed Duel box. It's been going up a ton. Whether or not that's sustainable, I'm not sure. But if you like the DB1 rarities, you want a super rare version of this, an alternate, people chase these sets. These are still relatively affordable if you're a GOAT player or just looking for different things to collect. So that's going to do it for today's Ion Market. Let me know what you guys thought, what other things you've noticed maybe I missed, and we'll try to cover it in a future Ion Market video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time right here at Loveshack. Bye-bye.